Hey, how's it going, guys? So we're here checking out another video by More Lore, and it's another Warhammer 40K video. So welcome back, guys. And this one is called Every Single Cursed Space Marine Chapter Explained. So we checked out Space Marine Legions and Primarchs and things like that. So now we decided to check out something that I know very little of: Cursed Space Marine Chapters. So the first time I think I saw Cursed Space Marines, I remember seeing it in like war videos by like Ricky a long time ago, but it came back a little bit when I saw a few of them in the Space Marine 2 game, because I do remember seeing like Space Marines, Astartes that look like scarabs, and I forgot what it was, but they just look like Space Marines, but look like they were on the influence of those. God, man, I'm gonna get so much heat for this. Of the 4 cursed gods, if I remember correctly. I don't know why my brain's not able to think, but I'm really excited to see. And again, shout out and credit goes to More Lore for the video. So with anything else, let's just jump right into it.
In the waning years of M35, the Imperium began an experiment that would have lasting
That's from Force Unleashed 2.
An experiment that would produce some of the most tragic and horrifying soldiers that humanity would ever know. It would become known as the Cursed Founding, the 21st founding of new Space Marine chapters, and would go down as one of the most harmful mistakes in the Imperium's history.
Oh,
the chapters created in this event would suffer from extreme mutations, dysfunctional behaviors, and supernaturally bad luck. Most of them burned out quickly, some of them quite literally, in fact, and those that remain live in the knowledge that one day the Inquisition that helped create them will finally decide to wipe the slate and start over. To understand how the Cursed Founding even happened, we have to take a look at what was taking place around that time. The biggest event was undoubtedly the Age of Apostasy, a period of strife and corruption that had almost destroyed the Imperium and had led to an upswell in religious fervor. 2 major things came about because of this renewed faith in the Emperor. The first is the formation of the Adepta Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle, who unfortunately don't factor much into this story. The second is the rise of the Thorian sect of the Inquisition, a group of religious inquisitors and agents who brought back an old idea from the end of the Horus Heresy that perhaps a new body could be found for the Emperor to take and re-enter mortal life. This was an idea that had many opponents, but more importantly, it sparked other similar beliefs, such as the idea that the imperfections in Space Marine gene seed could be weeded out, made pure so that the Emperor's vision could be closer to reality. Here is where we meet Inquisitor Cressier. A staunch Thorian, Cressier had managed to acquire the services of a Mechanicum biologist facility on the planet of Incunabla, just before the civil war of the Age of Apostasy began. Cressier started a series of experiments, one of which was the Homo sapiens Novus, or New Humanity Project. The idea was to remove faults in humanity, including in the gene seed of the Astartes legions, even the traitor ones, if rumors are to be believed. Regardless of the legions, even the...
Okay, so earlier I said I saw them in Space Marine 2 gameplay. I don't think those were Cursed Marines. I think those were like traitor or heretic Space Marines, if so called. So it looks like I was wrong, but I hope you guys do understand, like, this is an area that I know very little of. I don't even know the Inquisitor. I don't know anything. So I'm going into this completely blind. So I do apologize about that. So if you guys have any facts or informations or any corrections you want to make, please put down in the comments. I really would appreciate it.
Traitor ones, if rumors are to be believed. Regardless of the good intentions, this project would produce a handful of Space Marine chapters, only 6 of which survive in the Imperial records to this day, and all of which suffered horrific mutations and have either been eliminated by Imperial authorities, gone missing completely, or are still being watched closely. One of the best examples of this are the Black Dragons. These black-armored Astartes have a mutation in their osmodula, which aids in growing and strengthening the bones of a neophyte recruit. This mutation changes the organ to make it keep releasing new bone growth hormones even after the implantation process has finished, resulting in increased size
Oh,
and large
look at
horn
that.
and blade-like crests forming on the Marine's head and forearms. Apothecaries
That's
and
cool.
chapter command have reportedly
More
been
bones is
actively
better.
encouraging this mutation throughout the years, which is a deeply heretical policy as it promotes changes to the perfect Astartes form designed by the Emperor himself. Whether this is true or not, the Black Dragons have grown a reputation for their apparent trust in their mutated forms, specifically gathering the Space Marines most affected by this mutation into squads called Dragon Claws.
Dragon Claw.
These
Never heard of
Astartes
them.
coat the bladed bones on their arms in adamantium, transforming them into deadly ossific blades for close
Adamantium?
combat. Dragon Claws have forged a bloody legend across many battlefields and are famed for their tenacious and often ferocious nature.
So these guys are kind of like the, I mean, I don't know why, but with the adamantium and the bone coming out like this, kind of, they're kind of like the Wolverine in the Warhammer 40K universe. But the horns coming out like that, they kind of look like the devil. But I did see on the thumbnail that there are some called the Minotaurs. So is that them, or because you know the Minotaur is half man, half bull, so.
However, despite their stellar war record and their seemingly stable
That's a
mutation,
cool logo, by the way.
the Black Dragons still attract unwanted attention, especially from the Mechanicus. It is standard routine for chapters to send a tithe of gene seed to Mars for the express purpose of testing it for aberrations and mutations, but also for safekeeping in the case of sector-wide disasters. Despite these frequent tests and the chapter's obvious mutations, the Black Dragons have managed to successfully pass even the most rigorous of gene seed tests, leaving the Martian adepts confused and suspicious.
Look at the bones on this
Rumors
waist.
swirl that the dragons have been taking gene seed from other chapters to send in as their own, but so far there is little proof to support these accusations. Besides the Mechanicus, the Black Dragons have attracted the hate of several other chapters, with the most notable being the Dark Angels and the Marines Malevolent. This
Dark
soured
Angels.
reputation has led to chapters engaging in open hostilities with one another, a fact that should not be surprising considering both chapters' rampant hatred for even the slightest of mutations. As for their origins, the Black Dragons have always maintained that they are the first successors from the Salamanders Legion, although the 18th Legion has never formally confirmed this. While the Salamanders never had any successors recorded before the Ultima founding, which brought a much-needed expansion of Primaris reinforcements, they have officially started to recognize successors. Adding to that, Inquisitor Cressier is thought to have used the genetic material from every legion during his experiments, with or without the blessing of those forces, so it should not be considered too far-fetched that the Black Dragons were established with Salamander gene seed. But regardless of how they were made, or how they've been forced to survive the constant scrutiny of the deeply paranoid Imperial authorities, none can deny that the Black Dragons have been a loyal force, always quick to act in humanity's defense. In the grim darkness...
So even with their appearance and all that, they're still part of the Imperium and will protect it. So this is a really good, important moment where, you know, don't judge a book by its cover.
Of the 41st millennium, information is power,
even
and
though they look
protecting
pretty
that
demonic.
Information is critical. Just as the Imperium relies on the vigilance of the Adeptus Astartes to defend its borders, you can safeguard your digital realm with Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is...
I'll admit, that was a pretty good way to introduce it. Okay. Sons of Antaeus.
Chapter from the Cursed Founding to possess a completely positive gene trait and a reputation that does not draw them into open conflict with other forces of the Imperium. If the rumors are to be believed, the Sons of Antaeus possess massively augmented skeletons, making them larger, stronger, and tougher than almost any other Space Marine in the galaxy. This mutation makes even the average battle brother of this chapter seemingly invincible in most cases, and it has even been said that the Sons of Antaeus have never lost a battle on solid ground.
Damn.
The problem is that all we really have are rumors, since the Sons are a very secretive chapter, rarely sticking around after battles to socialize with anyone, including other Space Marines. However, in one of the few records that do exist, these Space Marines have reportedly been able to shrug off otherwise mortal wounds with terrifying ease. This
Wow.
report is from an Imperial Fist successor chapter called the Subjugators, and it details an almost unbelievable battle with the Eldari. Together, these two chapters managed to absolutely destroy an entire army of Eldari pirate corsairs in a matter of days. The Subjugators had found themselves outmaneuvered by the swift Eldari anti-grav war machines and were taking heavy fire when a strike force of the Sons of Antaeus arrived without warning, attacking the pirates from behind. Suddenly surrounded, the Xenos made the horrible mistake of thinking that the Sons of Antaeus were the weaker force and attempted a breakout assault on them, pressing their attack against the most indomitable Astartes of the Imperium. Soon the Eldar found themselves bogged down by warriors who refused to die, and then the Subjugators counterattacked, leading the two chapters to a swift and decisive victory, with the Sons of Antaeus forming an unbreakable anvil and the Subjugators an almost literal hammer. Once the Eldari had been killed or scattered, the Subjugators realized that the unkillable Space Marines had vanished as suddenly as they had arrived. Today, the Sons of Antaeus remain a controversial topic. The Imperium struggles to fully trust the chapter, while some less sympathetic observers suspect they are not descended from Ultramarine gene stock at all, but from the Death Guard. It is deeply unusual for the Ultramarines to not embrace a successor
That's a cool
chapter,
image.
especially one so well regarded. But whether that's a clue that the Sons are not an Ultramarine successor, or just that the 13th Legion wants nothing to do with their cursed founding siblings, is anyone's guess. If it were to be discovered that the Sons of Antaeus are in fact sons of Mortarion, what little goodwill the chapter has with the Imperium would be instantly lost, and like many others from the cursed founding, they would be deemed heretics and exterminated, which would certainly explain all the secrecy. Although little is known about the Flame Falcons, they showed great potential combating orcs and Eldar, with no obvious mutations for about the first century of their service. Then, during the Battle of Raffenberg's World, the entire first company of the chapter spontaneously combusted. Chapter Command was horrified at the sudden loss of their elite veterans. They scrambled to bring in their reserves to shore up what had been the most desperate front line of the battle, but when the reserves entered the raging firestorm, they were stunned to discover the warriors of the first company
They're just on fire,
still fighting the enemy. Fire blasted everything close to the Falcon vets, leaving them unharmed while scorching their foes. It seemed their mutation was a beneficial one. Psychic fire covering these cursed Astartes whenever they became embroiled in heavy combat. In another time, this might have been considered a miracle of faith in the Emperor, but sadly that wasn't the case here. Before news of the first company's survival was sent to their chapter master, the incident had already been reported to the Inquisition. After the battle, this miraculous self-immolation was observed in more and more of the Flame Falcons' battle brothers, an observation that attracted the wrathful paranoia of the inquisitorial agents looking into their case.
Man,
So, while the chapter considered
the Inquisitorius and the Adeptus Mechanicus are really just like keeping a close eye on these guys.
it a gift from the Emperor, the Inquisition was not convinced and put plans into motion that would see the Falcons removed from the Emperor's sight. Upon returning to their homeworld, the chapter celebrated a great victory in their new blessing from the Emperor. They were ambushed by the Grey Knights and Inquisitorial forces,
Oh, that's right, the Grey
purged
Knights.
the chapter and their holdings. Today, it is believed that only a small number of the Flame Falcons survived, but nothing of their current fate is known. Perhaps they still fight for humanity while hiding from the Inquisition. They might even be the true identity of the Legion of the Damned, those fiery space marines who appear to aid Imperial forces when their need is most desperate. The Flame Falcons serve Imperial forces when they're
kind of like, you know, flaming halos. That's really cool. And that's a really cool image too.
Need is most desperate. The Flame Falcons serve as a prime example of the fate that befalls many cursed founding chapters, their mutations becoming too pronounced, leading either to their downfall or to attracting unwanted attention from factions within the Imperium who label them heretical and seek their destruction. Or there is always the secret third option, chaos. Meet the Blood Gorgons, a cursed founding chapter who was declared ex communite traitoris just 60 years after their creation. Not much is recorded from the years where the Gorgons were loyalists, although references to the leadership of their chapter master being the main cause for their descent into heresy are frequent. Otherwise, it's not even known if they had any mutations or why exactly the Inquisition ordered the Space Wolves to chase them off of their home planet. Pursued into the Eye of Terror, the Blood Gorgons were scattered and strife with infighting for some time before a new leader, a Chaos Lord named Gamadin, ended the conflict and reunited the broken chapter with a blood bonding ritual that affirms each warrior's service to the ruinous powers, as well as a trusted battle brother. Sort of like a chaotic buddy system. Doing this, the two Astartes exchange organs, blood, and even skin for them to embrace demonic corruption together, forging arguably the most intense and strongest form of brotherhood in all of 40K. Once this bond has been formed, the two Space Marines become near inseparable as they can feel each other's physical pain and sense when they are in danger. The Blood Gorgons, similar to the Red Corsairs, ambush and disrupt Imperial supply lines for loot and sacrifice to their dark gods from their Space Hulk Cauldron Born, focusing on the Bastion sector worlds that they had once defended. Unfortunately for them, recent reports indicate that Gamadin had been killed, and so the Renegade chapter has once more fallen into infighting. A Space Marine chapter whose name has long been a byword for devastation and wrath, the story of the Firehawks has been one of the most eventful and painful out of any of the Cursed Founding. Unlike most of their 21st founding peers, the Firehawks took an active part during the civil wars of the Age of Apostasy, siding with Sebastian Thor and strictly believing in the divinity of the Emperor. And it was during this conflict that their first stroke of bad luck would hit, as their home planet of Zoros was destroyed by thermal bombs. After the fighting, the victorious Thor, now the new Ecclesiarch of Terra, gave the Firehawks a mighty gift: the great Crusade-era mobile void fortress Raptoris Rex. The chapter gratefully accepted becoming a fleet-based chapter until they acquired another homeworld, Custo 11, which was rendered uninhabitable shortly afterwards. Firehawk's founding curse appears to be one of terrible luck, or maybe it was just rage. Regardless of how loyal this chapter was to the Imperial Creed, they faced both distrust for being from the Cursed Founding and also for their excessive use of force, putting many cities and colonies to the torch without a second thought. Other Space Marine chapters shared this mistrust, considering the Firehawks to be lacking in brotherhood and overly prideful, traits that are blamed on their founding, but could easily be from their mysterious gene seed origins. Because although the Firehawks claim ancestry from the Ultramarines, that idea has been thoroughly rejected both through genetic testing and by the Lords of Macrogge. So who knows which legion the chapter hails from, but they sure weren't shy about picking fights. The Firehawks' wanton disregard for human life and that of their allies resulted in a 3-century-long feud with the Iron Hands, a feud that only ended with the death of a Firehawk commander in one-on-one combat. And that's just loyalists. The Firehawks often pick fights with enemy forces they just could not beat. Notably, they were the first of the loyalist chapters to become engaged in the infamous Badab War when they were attacked by the Mantis warriors in M41. Although the Badab War would have turned hostile with or without the involvement of the Firehawks, it is important to note that unlike most chapters involved, there was a personal grudge against the Astral Claws from a previous incident as well, which ultimately led the Firehawks to overextend themselves and take massive casualties. So massive that they were forced to bow out of the fighting for a bit due to threat of total annihilation. Post-Badab War, it appears their terrible luck has continued and the Firehawks have been declared as officially missing. In 963 M41, the entire chapter fleet, including the Raptoris Rex, attempted a short warp jump to face a group of Drakari pirates. The jump was calculated to take no more than 12 hours, but they never showed up. The Space Fortress Raptoris Rex, 5 Firehawks ships, over 800 battle brothers, and 2,000 support personnel just went missing. Now, there have been a few sightings of the Firehawks flag.
I want to take a look at this, guys. Man, that huge, the map, because I haven't really got a huge look at, specific look of the map, but I can see like Terra and Mars right there on the left, right here. I'll use my cursor. Armageddon, the Maelstrom, Necron. I wonder if anything else. The name sounds familiar. The Memor, Storm of the Emperor's Wrath. That's cool. Cypra, yeah, Cypra Mundi sounds very familiar. Acadia, Craig, Vorjust. So some of these names do sound familiar. Yagamala, Attila. Interesting. Oh, the Tau Empire is right here. The Necron, Hades Anomaly. Oh wait, I think he's zooming out.
Flagship fortress since then, with news that Marines wearing the Hawk's colors were seen fighting at the furthest reaches of Imperial space, but nothing has been confirmed. There are theories that the new Firehawk survivors have returned as the Legion of the Damned, but these theories conflict with historical accounts, as records state the Legion of the Damned appeared long before the Firehawks were even founded. There is, of course, much more to be said about the Legion of the Damned and their relation to the Firehawks, but that subject is best explored in the future. The Lamenters are one of the few chapters from the Cursed founding to still have an active loyalist presence.
The first time I saw the Lamenters was by Warrior Tier in a video by him. I don't remember much about that video. I'm so sorry, guys.
A feat all the more impressive considering the number of times the chapter has faced annihilation.
I didn't know they were cursed.
Descended from the Blood Angels, the Lamenters had their gene seed altered and experimented with like many others of their founding. But the modifications ended up working exactly as intended.
They kind of look like Imperial
Fists. To eliminate the Red Thirst and Black Rage that have both plagued the Blood Angels since the death of their Primarch. This has led to rumors that the Blood Angels themselves might have played a role in the experiments conducted on the Lamenters, or at least have given some form of approval as knowledge of their gene flaws are a closely kept secret. By all accounts, the Lamenters had a long history of being a proud member of the Blood Angels Council of Blood, a conclave of chapters descended from the Primarch Sanguinius and have been dutiful adherents to the Codex Astartes. Yet somehow the Lamenters still did not walk away without sharing in their founding curse. Like the Firehawks, the Lamenters are infamous for their misfortune, leading them to possess a significantly higher casualty rate than other chapters, and at times, they have been abandoned by their allies. During the Badab War, the Lamenters stayed true to their oaths of friendship to Lufthuron and his Astral Claws, completely unaware of the chaos and corruption that had taken the once noble chapter master. The Lamenters had fought beside the Astral Claws and the Mantis Warriors for years and had been told that early attacks against the Claws were attempts by the Inquisition to challenge the sovereignty of the Adeptus Astartes as a whole. So while the Lamenters mostly refused to fight other Space Marines, they had sided with the Renegades, and so were enemies of the Imperium during this conflict, eventually being nearly destroyed at the hands of a fellow cursed founding chapter, the Minotaurs.
So
although
these guys
they were
aren't
spared
loyal
from extinction, their war gear, resources, and even ships would be taken as punishment for their actions by the Loyalists, resulting in the Lamenters nearly losing all hope. When brought to trial, the Lamenters would be spared, but given further reprimand with a century-long penitent crusade, as even though the chapter was found to have not fallen to chaos, nor to have rebelled against the Emperor, they had still fought against Loyalist forces and had to pay some price to earn forgiveness. Of course, the bad luck didn't stop there. Penitent crusades aren't meant to be easy after all, and their first action afterwards saw the whole chapter nearly wiped out as they attempted to stop the oncoming tide of the Tyranids of Hive Fleet Kraken. After the dust had settled, only 3 companies, barely 300 Lamenters, are reported to have survived. Here the chapter drops off the map for a while. The Blood Angels themselves couldn't even find them, but reports of Lamenters engaging in battle persist. Regardless, up until the Ultima founding, even other Lamenters like the Dreadnought Charon, who is on permanent assignment to the Death Watch, believed that their brothers had all been killed. With the return of the Ultramarines Primarch Rabute Guilliman, chapters like the Lamenters have been given a second chance with new Primaris recruits. So while they still remain highly resistant to the genetic flaws of their gene seed, the new Primaris Lamenters have, like other successors of the Blood Angels, had to form a cadre of Death Company Astartes. However, even with the reinforcements, their numbers remain quite small, leading them to be one of only 2 Blood Angel successor chapters to have not answered Dante's call to aid during the devastation of Baal, possibly fearing that their bad luck would have made the invasion worse. The Lamenters still managed to be a proud and noble chapter to this day, sacrificing life and limb for the citizens of the Imperium. But beneath their nobility resides a gloomy and dark outlook. They are solemn and quiet, exuding an aura of doom that unsettles even their allies. The final chapter of the Cursed Founding, whose legacy has not been fully forgotten, that is the infamous Minotaurs. Slaughterers of the Lamenters, spearhead of the High Lords of Terra, and a deeply mysterious chapter. In their early history, they were known for their headstrong berserker charges, arriving at random, charging with overwhelming force and ferocity, and then suddenly disappearing. This erratic behavior, combined with other discrepancies, has led to both the Inquisition and the Ecclesiarchy wanting to formally investigate the chapter. Yet, for some reason, all requests have been denied from higher up within the Imperium, or those investigating have simply disappeared. One of the many theories about the Minotaurs and their apparent diplomatic immunity is that they are being used as a dedicated force by the High Lords of Terra. This would not be out of character for the scheming High Lords, and it's a matter of record that the Minotaurs are extremely obedient to them, following the High Lords' directives quickly and efficiently. This theory stems from their strange disappearance in M38 and reappearance in M41 with a full complement of new strike cruisers, tanks, and war gear, as well as a complete change in overall demeanor, leading to yet another theory that the Minotaurs of M41 are not the same chapter as the Cursed Founding Astartes of M38. Some darker suggestions are that the Minotaurs were designed to kill disloyal Astartes, or that their gene seed originates from one of the traitor legions such as the Iron Warriors or World Eaters. According to some Imperial scholars, the Minotaurs might even be created from heretical chimeric gene seed. But if you want to hear more about the theory surrounding these bronze...
That is dope. Yeah, because when looking at the Minotaurs, looks like they have some like traces back to, well, I don't want to say traces, but like the art, you can see like Greek warriors on there, like Spartans, and this is a Spartan shield, and it does look like a Space Marine Spartan, so that's really cool. But either way, sounds like the Minotaurs it sounds like some sort of shadow Warhammer, I don't say Warhammer, Space Marine organization. If investigators are going missing and like their information is like classified and being protected from higher up, I say they are like a assassination group or like a shadow organization by kind of like a secret force used by like higher command. That's what I think. But either way, this is a really cool design. And let's go back a little bit.
Heretical chimeric gene seed. But if you want to hear more about the theory surrounding these bronze Spartan-like Astartes, then congratulations, because we agree that they are very interesting, and we made a video all about them, where we explore the true depths of this ancient yet mysterious chapter.
Oh, I'll look into it.
There is much to say about the Cursed Founding, but ultimately it proved to be a great tragedy. In mere centuries, there were thousands, if not tens of thousands of Astartes ready to set out into the stars fighting for humanity's interests in the galaxy, yet all they got was tragedy and madness thanks to some ill-advised experimentation. So which Cursed Founding chapter is your favorite and why? Also, do you know any other references to other chapters created during these years that we left out? There is no end to the many stories of pain and horror in the 42nd millennium, so do be sure to like and subscribe so that you aren't kept in the dark without more lore.
Okay, so this video was something I did not expect completely. When it said Cursed Space Marine chapter, I legit thought it was like heretics, you know, like Space Marine chapters that were corrupted by the Chaos Gods and they are all heretics. But no, every single one of them, I guess besides the Lamenters, were loyal to the Imperium and were protected, will protect humanity. But because of their appearance and also like constant doubts, the Inquisitorius and the Adeptus Mechanicus keeps an eye on them, and they're constantly being hunted, or they keep on getting attacked and almost literally wiped out by loyalists. Is crazy. So this took a whole direction I did not expect. But either way, I'm really glad that I enjoyed this video. And as to his question, which Space Marine chapter would I choose? I don't know. Every single one of them is like really unique in their own way. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I really don't know. I really don't know what to choose. But actually, you know what? I will choose the one at the beginning. I think they're called the one with the dragons. The black dragons. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now because the claws and the horns coming out, and the fact that it's made out of adamantium, kind of like Wolverine. I mean, coated with adamantium like Wolverine is really cool. So, and I really like dragons, and their logos are really dope. So I'll choose the black dragons as my favorite cursed Space Marine chapter. Which one is your guys' favorite? Please put it down in the comments below. And if you guys have any more information about these guys, please put it down in the comments below as well. So besides that, that's all I got for today. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. And also shout out to all my members, subscribers, viewers. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I really do appreciate it. So without anything else, see you guys next time.